The Ottoman Empire was created by Turkish tribes that originated in Anatolia. They eventually took control of key segments of one of the world's most famous trade routes, the Silk Road, imposing religious and tax barriers that encouraged European powers to seek other routes east. But what did this empire that peaked during the 16th and 17th centuries have to do with the outbreak of World War I? Join us as we explore how the collapse of the Ottoman Empire became one of the contributing factors to the start of the First World War. The Ottoman Empire was established in 1299 CE and quickly spread out of Anatolia into southeastern Europe. In the 1500s, the Ottoman Empire witnessed its peak of wealth and power, spanning around 2.01 million square miles and encompassing most of southeastern Europe, including parts of modern-day Hungary and the Balkans at times. In the Middle East, it controlled Iraq, Israel, Syria, and Egypt. Its influence spread from North Africa to Algeria, and it also dominated large parts of the Arabian Peninsula. The decline of the Ottoman Empire was a slow one, and some historians cite that it started with the reign of Suleiman I the Magnificent. Suleiman became Sultan of the Ottoman Empire in 1520. He succeeded his father and started campaigns against the European Christian powers. Although his reign was outwardly successful and he increased the territories of his empire, toward the end of his rule he grew tired of the arduous duties of the Sultan and began to build up the authority and responsibilities of the Grand Vizier. Soon, the Grand Vizier was permitted to stand in for the Sultan at official functions, although the Sultan remained the focus of the Ottomans' loyalty. This dichotomy grew over the coming generations and created a separation between the political and central authority, which began a decline in the government's ability to impose its will. Although these issues have been pinpointed as a tentative start to the decline of the Ottoman Empire, many other factors contributed to the slow collapse of the empire over the coming centuries. Another contributing factor was ongoing power struggles between the devshirme and the sultans. The devshirme system was a levy imposed by the Ottomans, in which children were taken from Christian households, converted to Islam, and trained to be members of the administrative and military systems of the Ottoman Empire. In the mid-16th century, the devshirme's substantial influence over the Turkish nobility and their growing power shifted the dynamics of the empire and added to increasing tensions and internal conflict. The sultans subsequently lost control of the devshirme, which grew into a powerful political force. The devshirme then split into many factions, each with their own political ambitions. The separate factions formed alliances with imperial princes. The line of succession became a consequence of political maneuverings by the court and the devshirme rather than due to ability, resulting in corruption and nepotism. In response to these power struggles, the authorities decided to isolate young princes and limit their education, a practice known as the cage. This policy was intended to suppress potential rivalries, but resulted in sultans lacking the ability to exercise real power, although their desire for authority remained undiminished. Alongside the internal issues, the Ottoman Empire began experiencing economic issues brought on by external forces. The British and the Dutch began focusing on overseas trade routes, contributing to the decline of the old international trade routes through the Middle East. As a result, the prosperity of the Ottomans' Middle Eastern territories declined. New trade links with the Americas also contributed to the shifting balance between the East and the West. The loss of the European market took its toll on the Ottoman Empire, which was now unable to compete with cheap European goods. Consequently, the traditional Ottoman industry declined. Issues with political unrest, economic instability, and a rise in taxes were exacerbated by population growth, which led to further social unrest. During the 1700s, the Ottoman Empire went through a period of stagnation and attempted reform. The sultans had lost their monopoly on power, and while the empire made efforts to modernize, it still faced challenges such as economic decline and political instability. These issues continued into the 1800s. This period also saw the Ottomans face a growing rise in nationalism within the nations that made up their empire, particularly in the Balkans. During the reign of Mahmud II, who ruled from 1808 to 1839, the Ottoman Empire lost some crucial territories, including Greece after Greece's War of Independence that raged from 1821 to 1832. Mahmud II also lost territories to Russia, starting with the eastern half of Moldavia in 1812. Further losses came after the Russo-Turkish War, which was fought from 1828 to 1829. In 1830, France invaded and conquered Ottoman Algeria, which further reduced the Ottoman Empire. Although the Ottoman Empire had shrunk considerably by the end of Mahmud II's reign, he had managed to consolidate and solidify his power base despite being increasingly subject to European pressures. Mahmud II also demonstrated that change could be respected and symbolically replaced the turban with the fez in 1828. Mahmud II's sons then implemented a series of reforms called the Tanzimat. The Tanzimat courted much controversy, with many dismissing it as strategy to seek European diplomatic support. This opinion was seemingly evidenced by several reforms, mainly in relation to Christian equality policies, which were often not enforced. Skeptics also cite the Ottomans' need for European acceptance after the Crimean War, which was fought from 1853 to 1856 between Russia and an alliance of the Ottoman Turks, the British, and the French. Despite the skeptical opinions inside the empire, the Tanzimat was largely considered a success, and the reforms contributed to the empire's transformation. Although the Tanzimat was successful in many ways, including advancing the education system, the reforms also led to a weakness. Sultan Abdulaziz abused his power to such an extent that it contributed to the unrest and fanned the flames of nationalism. During the 1870s, droughts and floods spread further discontent among the Ottoman peasantry. In the Balkans, growing tensions led to uprisings of Christian peasants against the Muslim lords in Bosnia and Herzegovina in 1875, and then in Bulgaria the following year. Efforts to suppress the revolts led to a war with Serbia and Montenegro in 1876, and pressure from the Europeans to reform. What followed was years of war and conflict, culminating in the Young Turk Revolution in 1908, which restored the constitution and parliamentary system, aiming for modernization and reform. Although it sought to accommodate nationalist movements with the Ottoman Empire's framework, those efforts weren't entirely successful. Nationalism and discontent led to the formation of the Balkan League in the spring of 1912. The League was instigated by Russia, which wanted to expel the Turks from the Balkans. It was an alliance between Bulgaria, Serbia, Greece, and Montenegro. In October 1912, the Balkan League declared war on the Ottoman Empire, starting with Montenegro on October 8th. The First Balkan War ended with a victory for the Balkan Allies by May 1913, and the Ottoman Empire lost virtually all its remaining European territories. However, there was still much discontent in the Balkan region, and the Balkan League soon fell to infighting over the division of the territories gained in the First Balkan War. In June of 1913, Serbia and Greece allied against Bulgaria over lands in Macedonia. The war began at the end of June, when Bulgarian King Ferdinand ordered an attack on Serbian and Greek forces in Macedonia. The war between the former allies created an opportunity for the Ottoman Turks. They entered the war, intervening against Bulgaria, violating their truce and entering Thrace. By the end of the war, the Ottoman Empire had managed to reclaim the eastern part of Thrace, although they had lost over 4/5 of their territory and 2/3 of their population. Serbia had been a vassal of the Ottoman Empire since the late 14th century, eventually coming under direct Ottoman control by the mid-15th century. Various uprisings during the 19th century resulted in the liberation of much of central Serbia, but this led to mistreatment and suspicion of Serbians who were still under Ottoman rule. Serbian independence was recognized by international treaties in 1878, but Serbians still held a lot of resentment for their extended period of foreign rule. The end of the Balkan Wars did not signal the end of conflict for Serbia, although it had been able to expand by 4/5 its size, increasing its population by more than half. Serbia had also come into conflict with a newly formed Austria-Hungary, which felt that the unrest in the Balkans would lead them into an inevitable conflict with Serbia. Serbia had clashed with Austria-Hungary when Austria-Hungary's foreign minister annexed Bosnia in 1908 in response to the Young Turk Revolution, as he feared that the new Turkish regime would regain control of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The Serbians, who were closely related to Bosnia and Herzegovina both geographically and ethnically, were outraged by the annexation, seeing it as a return to foreign rule for the southern Slavs in the area. In response, Serbia demanded that a portion of the annexed provinces be ceded to them. Although Russia had agreed to the annexation, it was sympathetic to the Serbian cause. However, the tense political climate meant that it risked war with Germany and Austria-Hungary should they side with Serbia. Serbia's success in the Balkan Wars reignited its desire to liberate the southern Slavs of Austria-Hungary, and some Serbians decided that the best way to go about it would be to assassinate the heir to the Austrian Empire, Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The nationalism that had been stirred up under Ottoman rule transferred its focus to Austria-Hungary, On June 28, 1914, a Bosnian Serb named Gavrilo Princip, who was a member of the nationalist group in Serbia, shot and killed Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie. Austria-Hungary was confident that Germany would support it in a war against Serbia, as Wilhelm II of Germany had supported a preventative war the week before the assassination. Austria-Hungary decided to present Serbia with an unacceptable ultimatum that would allow it to declare war. But as the delivery was announced, Russia declared its support for Serbia. Serbia accepted most of Austria-Hungary's demands, which was enough to prompt Wilhelm II to no longer see any justification for war. Unfortunately, the day before Wilhelm II withdrew his support, the German Foreign Office had encouraged the Austrians to declare war, which they did before receiving word from Wilhelm II. As Austria-Hungary began mobilizing its military, so did Russia. Germany then sent an ultimatum to Russia, requiring the Russians to halt their mobilization, as well as one to France, requiring the French to promise neutrality in the event of war between Russia and Germany. Both countries ignored the ultimatums, causing Germany to declare war on Russia and France. When Germany demanded free passage of German troops through Belgium, another domino fell. Britain was committed to defending Belgium and joined the war. Soon, it was a free-for-all, with Austria-Hungary declaring war on Russia, Montenegro declaring war on both Austria-Hungary and Germany, France and Britain teaming up against Austria-Hungary, Japan joining the war against Germany, and Austria-Hungary declaring war on Japan. Although the Ottoman Empire, which was indirectly responsible for the tensions that caused this international outbreak of war, could have remained neutral, the Minister of War, Enver Pasha, saw this as an opportunity to reassert their dominance of the Balkans. Seeing Germany's early victories, and due to their long-standing hostilities with Russia, the Ottomans joined the Central Powers against the Allies. The Allied victory that ended World War I also spelled the fall of the Ottoman Empire, which officially ended in 1922 with the abolition of the Sultanate. Its territories were formalized through the Treaty of Sèvres in 1920 and the Treaty of Lausanne in 1923, and Turkey was declared a republic in 1923 under Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. How would you like to get a deeper understanding of history, impress your friends, and predict the future more accurately based on past events? If this sounds like something you might be into, then check out the brand new Captivating History Book Club by clicking the first link in the description. To learn more about the Balkans, check out our book, The Balkans, a captivating guide to the history of the Balkan Peninsula, starting from classical antiquity through the Middle Ages to the modern period. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.